Town life. The truck rumbled into the heart of town, its headlights piercing the neon-drenched streets like searchlights in the dark. Even at this hour, the city was alive, throbbing with the rhythm of possibility, danger, and freedom. Lucia's hands gripped the wheel tightly, her knuckles pale against the backdrop of the faint glow from the dashboard. The cab was silent, save for the hum of the engine and the barely there metallic scent of blood, still lingering from their earlier chaos. It was a cruel, constant reminder of what they had left behind. "Do you see anywhere?" Lucia's voice broke the silence. It was low, clipped, and tinged with exhaustion, though her determination remained unshaken. They needed a break, a slice of normalcy, if only for a moment. Isabela leaned forward, her dark eyes darting between glowing signs and bustling corners. The city felt like a giant maze of possibilities, its streets whispering promises of both salvation and destruction. "There!" she exclaimed, pointing excitedly. Her voice, lighter now, carried a note of hope. Lucia followed her gaze to a small but vibrant spot tucked between two weathered buildings. A neon sign blinked the words, "Tony's Drive-In," in bold electric pink. It cast a warm, hazy glow over the parking lot, which buzzed with activity. Dozens of cars gleamed under the artificial lights, their owners lounging nearby, laughing and gesturing as if the world was their playground. Motorcycles lined the lot's edges, their chrome accents reflecting the golden streetlights like mirrors. The air itself seemed alive. Latin music thumped from speakers. Bad Bunny's "Titi Me Preguntó" mixed seamlessly into Peso Pluma's "Ella Baila Sola." The beats vibrated in the pavement beneath their feet, infectious and full of life. Lucia's grip on the wheel relaxed slightly as she turned into the lot, choosing a spot on the edge of the action. She killed the engine, and the truck gave a shuddering sigh as if it, too, needed the brake. For a moment, neither of them moved. They sat in the quiet aftermath of motion, taking in the scene before them. "Looks like some kind of car, meat," Isabela said, her lips curving into a small, tentative smile. Lucia nodded, her gaze scanning the colorful crowd. "Yeah, let's eat first," she replied, her voice soft but resolute. The girls stepped out of the truck, and the cool night air brushed against their faces, carrying the mingling scents of grilled burgers, crispy fries, and the faint tang of gasoline. It was a heady mixture, oddly comforting despite its chaos. The sharp tang of motor oil mixed with cologne and cheap perfume, and the distant laughter of strangers rang out over the thrum of engines revving in friendly competition. They made their way to the small ordering window, weaving through the throngs of people who seemed utterly carefree. By the time they reached the counter, a teenage boy wearing a black Tony's t-shirt and a snapback greeted them with a practiced smile. "What can I get you?" he asked, his voice warm but tinged with the boredom of familiarity. Lucia didn't waste time scanning the menu. 2 cheeseburgers, large fries, and 2 sodas. "That'll be $25.50, he said, punching the order into the register. Lucia reached into her pocket, pulling out a crumpled stack of cash. The faint streaks of dried blood on the bills caught the light, and for a second she hesitated. But she pressed forward, handing them over as casually as she could manage. Her face betrayed nothing, though her stomach churned with unease. The cashier paused. His fingers hovered over the bills, his eyes darting to Lucia's face. Isabela stiffened beside her, the tension in her body palpable. The crowd's laughter and music faded into the background, replaced by the rapid pounding of her pulse. Lucia braced herself for what might come next. Would he call the cops? Raise the alarm? But then, He slid the money into the register and handed over the receipt, his dark eyes meeting hers with an unreadable expression. "Safe out there," he said quietly, his voice barely audible over the noise. Then, after a moment's hesitation, he added, "And if you ever need help, come back." Lucia blinked, stunned by his unexpected kindness. A lump formed in her throat, but she swallowed it down, giving him a quick nod of gratitude. Isabela managed a whispered "thank you" as they stepped aside to wait for their food. When their order was called, the girls carried their tray to a nearby picnic table. The warm, inviting aroma of fresh food wafted up to greet them, and for a moment, the weight of the world seemed to lift. Isabela tore into her cheeseburger, her eyes widening as the first bite hit her tongue. "Oh my God," she murmured, her voice muffled by the food. The bun was soft and buttery, the patty perfectly seasoned with a hint of char that melted into the gooey cheddar cheese. "This is amazing, like actually amazing." Lucia took a bite of her own burger, savoring the symphony of flavors, the juicy beef, the crunch of fresh lettuce, the tang of pickles and ketchup. For a fleeting moment, it felt like everything was normal, as though they were just two regular girls enjoying a midnight snack. The fries were crisp and golden, each bite a satisfying crunch that paired perfectly with the cold, fizzy soda. Isabela licked salt from her fingers, her earlier fear melting away under the comfort of good food and the vibrant energy around them. The parking lot felt like its own universe, disconnected from the rest of the world. Cars revved and engines purred, their owners showing off flashy paint jobs and custom modifications. A group of bikers cheered as one of their own performed a daring wheelie, the motorcycle roaring as it balanced on one tire. Nearby, a sleek sports car spun in tight donuts, its tires screeching against the asphalt. The crowd erupted in cheers, their voices blending with the infectious rhythm of Bad Bunny's Effecto. The girls watched, transfixed, as the world around them pulsed with life. Isabela leaned back, a rare, carefree smile lighting up her face. "This is the life," she said softly, her gaze fixed on the action. "Can you imagine doing this every night?" Lucia didn't respond immediately. She took a sip of her soda, her thoughts drifting to the truck parked just a few yards away. The duffel bags in the back weighed heavily on her mind. Their current stash of cash wouldn't last long, not if they wanted to keep eating like this, keep staying ahead of the shadows chasing them. Her gaze hardened as she thought about the drugs. It was dangerous, but it was their only way forward. She wasn't going to let them fall back into the hell they had just escaped from. Whatever it took, she would ensure they had the means to survive, and maybe even thrive. "Lucia?" Isabela's voice pulled her back to the present. Lucia forced a small smile, brushing her thoughts aside for now. "Yeah, just tired." For the rest of the night, the girls let themselves get lost in the music, the laughter, and the fleeting sense of freedom. They were just two girls under the neon lights, savoring a taste of the life they had fought so hard to reach. But in the back of Lucia's mind, her resolve was already forming. Someone out here can help them. But trusting them will be the issue. Maybe she shouldn't. Just get rid of the stuff. Then again, this could change their lives. She scanned the crowd around them, looking at everyone. Who, she thought to herself, who can help his? As she looked around the crowd, her eyes fell on a group of guys by a nice Corvette. As she was looking, the man who was there in the center of the crew locked eyes with her. She shyly looked away. Damn, how I get caught already. As she looked away, she saw her peripheral vision. They were still looking at her. She saw the man lean into the ear of the woman on his arms and whisper something into her ear. She didn't want to move and looked scared, so she stood her ground. Good thing she did, because as the woman came over, she had offered them to come over to their crew and relax with them. So the girls gathered their belonging as went over to the crew there. Maybe this could work out. As the night went on, she got to know them. Their stories were wild on how they met. They seemed like a family they both needed.